to another episode of Desire to Inspire, yo mama's favorite podcast. Bringing in with a little more hype this week for you guys.
My depression's subsided a bit. Not much, but a bit.
Hey, you know, one day, 1 week at a time, baby. Starting off just with my little message of the day from something that I saw on social media from the same guy, because this guy just speaks speaks my fucking language. If you are not hydrating, if you are not exercising, if you are avoiding the sun, if you are not sleeping well, if you are not eating healthy, no amount of pills will fix your health problems. And I could not fucking agree more, brother.
To sum it up, fit people are better than fat people.
Glad that stuck with you and you love that.
Yeah, I think that should be our new slogan.
Put on
Desire
shirts.
to inspire. Fit people are better than fat people.
Honestly,
Where'd you find this guy?
Dude, I've been following this guy for fucking...
Oh, a long time? I thought he was a new guy.
No.
Because I never heard of this guy before.
No, I've been following him for...
How have you never mentioned him and now you got him on 2 episodes?
I always be posting him on my stories on Instagram.
This guy?
Yep.
You say always, like recently you posted a lot of stories.
I've been following him for like 2 years, so he's definitely been posted up on my stories.
Okay.
And typically when I post his stuff, it gets a lot of like reactions. People resonate with it. So I'll probably share stuff with him a lot because it's practical stuff that I think aligns with the way that we like view and go about stuff in this like whole health and wellness endeavor.
Okay. I'll have to look into the guy because literally know nothing about him.
Well,
except he has a long last name.
He does have a long last name.
Antonio.
I'm surprised you remember that because even me looking at that, I'm like, D.
All I know is it's a De Nickel and Antonio all in one.
One more time.
This is De Nickel Antonio. De Nickel Antonio. You need to say it with an accent though. De Nickel Antonio.
Dr. James.
Oh, it's James? You think it's James? James De Nickel Antonio.
Could be.
Sounds good, bro.
Dang.
I think it's James.
That's why you bring that spice to our podcast, baby.
Yeah, I'm glad I could bring something.
Yeah. World where pills are always the answer, man. There's a lot of things we can do outside of that. So wanted to share that. See where we go with this episode. See where we go.
Where do you want to go?
I don't know, dude. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm still a little bit. I didn't want to go too far in the last one. That's why I was like, let's rein it in a bit. Because I think we could have went a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we were already pushing the 40-minute mark. I didn't want to go too deep. But you were getting passionate. It's firing me up. Because I don't know if you've noticed this. I haven't really been posting much. I say I don't know if you've noticed because I know you've noticed. But no, my Instagram's been not as bad, but like obviously I haven't vlogged. We had a full conversation about that. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I want to put something out weekly again. But I don't think the vlog is it. I don't know where, especially not fucking. Well, I guess it's been Road to Sub 3 is the title, so we're good there. But like I don't know. It's probably gonna end up being something similar to a daily rabbi where it's like me talking and it's my thoughts. That's basically what the vlogs had become anyway, was just in sporadic clips where they were pieced together. So maybe I'll just do like some kind of a run thought thing where I just literally am on a run. I just talk for 10 minutes to the camera, whatever that is. I don't know. But I know that I have been wanting to create content, and then you fired me up to create content again.
It's just like, so for those of you that didn't watch last week's, I would go back and watch that because I do think that it was a really good one. And it shows that charisma, that passion, that drive, that it's very hard. So even going back 2 episodes ago when we talk about the corporate world and how I was voicing my opinion that it's wild that we as humans just so voluntarily go and work for somebody else to make them richer, to make them more successful, to make them. And the reason I say that is because like, well, why don't we put in, and I'm just saying we because we're talking, why don't we put in that effort to go after our dreams now that they're so readily available and we literally can go and do anything? Like, there's people out there right now making, dude, it's so fucking funny. There's this girl on TikTok that gets hundreds of thousands of likes, gets millions of views on every single video. And she's got this fucking like fish tank. Just picture this Yeti cooler, clear. And she's like, watch me eat 200 hot dogs. And she stands at this thing, dumps a whole bunch of ketchup and mustard, and it looks as if she's eating all of these. Or it'll be like, watch me eat.
She's not eating them?
Dude, she's clipping it. So that way it looks, there's like literally 200 hot dogs in there.
You know how long of an edit that is?
I know. I want to see what her edits look like because it's literally like done, click, done, click, done. And you can see in the video, like her body kind of like shifts throughout it in some of them. So I'm like, oh, this is definitely edited. But there was one and it was like, watch me eat 20 pounds of mashed potatoes. Watch me eat 10 pounds of mac and cheese. And so
she puts it in her mouth though, so it's like putting it in there and spitting it out?
Has to be. Yeah.
Dude, that's exhausting.
Yeah, but she's making fucking bank off of it.
Yes, but like, is that...
No.
She's more of a slave than we are to the corporate world.
No, wait. And so there's somebody like that. There's a guy on the internet that gets just as many views about, he's like, eat your protein. And he's like, watch me eat 100 shrimp.
What is your algorithm, dog? That everyone's just eating 20 pounds of things.
It'll transition. These are just recent ones that I've seen.
What the fuck is your For You page?
These are just recent ones that I've seen. And so he eats 100 grams of protein. And he's like, and you guys think it's hard. I just did it in one sitting. And then there's other people that are like a fucking Mike Malak and Logan Pauls of the world that are doing it on these grander scales. But what I'm saying is like there are people that are doing stuff on social media that is letting them work for themselves. How long and sustainable it is, it doesn't matter. Again, there's the far left and the far right of what you can do on social media, and going all in on yourself in whatever the fuck that is, whether it's eating 200 hot dogs and faking it, or whether it's building a health and wellness brand like a BPN did, whatever that is.
But also, not everyone can create their own thing. BPN needs people to push BPN. It needs other people in the system.
Agree. But he got people to be wrapped into his drive, his passion.
But those people are also still working.
I'm not worried about those people. I'm talking about Nick specifically.
I know
in
that
this scenario.
But we're also preaching to everyone.
Correct. But
as
right
a blanket
now,
statement, and you need other people to work.
Right now, though, I am focused on so Nick Bear created that, drove that. He's still living it. But yeah, he got people, like you said 2 episodes ago, they offered me something I would have been in when I was whatever. He got people to take that to the next level. And then if Nick Bear ended up selling it like he said he was going to, then that would have sold it to that next level. And he just grew something.
While we're on this, I don't know if I've ever brought this up on air. If I have, stop me. Do you think that he always intended to come back into the CEO role? Have I brought this up before?
You haven't brought this up.
Here's my theory. I think he voluntarily stepped down to see, am I the reason that BPN is what BPN is? There was a shift, a clear shift when he was not CEO. I don't know if I was just more into it that I saw it, but I feel like across the board, everybody kind of saw it. I don't think it was just like the ambassador program gone. Like there was no community, I felt like at that point. It was like, let's try to increase our margins. And it's hard for me to really 100% get behind the theory because he moved his entire family across the country. That's the one that I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah.
But also when you're at that level, is it that hard to move across the country? No.
Yeah.
It's inconvenient, sure. But I feel like, was this all an experiment to see, am I in my presence what is BPN success? And maybe it was, I don't think it was ego fueled, but I feel like it could have been okay, then that means we need to go harder on the product. We need to do more. Or was it just see okay, let's see these great people who they're C-suite people, they are marketers, they're investors or whatever. Let's see if they actually have what it takes, or if it's this brand is built on something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. And too, does that mean that BPN will stay around the caliber of what it is, so that way it has that camaraderie community, that thing around it, so it doesn't get too corporate?
But it's not even like it's a small company. They're pulling in $40 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking massive.
Yeah, but to a Pepsi, that's small.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like different levels to us, that's huge.
Sure, but like even the big, I don't know what the biggest supplement brand would even be.
I don't know.
Like I don't know what their revenue pulls in, because like obviously there's like wholesalers
Mm-hmm.
who sell like Walmarts and like Sam's Clubs and that type of shit, which those are always gonna be around for the everyday person.
Yeah.
Like, BPN's built on a performance brand as it is. First form, I would say, is a performance
Yep.
brand. Like all these things are more performance based.
Yep.
They're not just here's a general supplement, take it or leave it.
Yeah. And so like to me that ties in more relatable points than those people that I brought up on social media. Like a Nick Bear is a great example of that. Like he started with his brother in fucking college out of their dorm room, had the shipments shipped to his mom's house, and then he would go and pick those up to then ship out the first shipments of flight. And so like that's more or less the people I'm talking about. But in the grand scheme of things, like even Ryan with Tribal Training, like Ryan now just hired an assistant coach. He's growing that. His Zach and his like retired his mom, like all those things. Like there are ways to, there's
a million ways to do it.
Yeah. If we were to put all of that in turn, what would that turn into? And so then it comes, okay, well, we can't handle this on our own. It's getting bigger than us. That's when other people get brought in. And then again, they're living their dreams for a company they're passionate about, supporting this mission, blah, blah, blah. And then it builds up. And so a BPN, a First Former, is a great example because that's something that you can see from where it started. They showcase that to where it's going now. And they're
you
still
buy into the people
it.
Before you buy into the brand.
Yep. And so as I watch and see all of these different people relaying back to you guys, I said watch last week's episode because I got very passionate when I was talking about putting out content recently. And I do and have all of these great habits that I'm doing and I'm training that I don't want to cross the finish line on May 18th, 2025, hitting a goal and a PR that I have set for myself. I guess anything is going to be a PR because I've never done it. Yeah. But then looking back and being like, why didn't I document this to hopefully influence somebody throughout the process every single week? And next thing you know, now there's 20 people, 50 people, 100,000, whatever it is, people bought into this journey. And so if I continue to buy the GoPro and that's going to do it, if I continue to buy the new phone and that's going to do it, if I continue to buy these new shoes and that's going to do it, but never do it, then what am I doing it for? And so I want to start documenting these things to showcase this journey and impact more people because I see the people we impact already. And I'm like, how the fuck, like this is with minimal. How do I elevate this? How do I take it to the next thing? And so again, what does that look like? I mean, it's all getting figured out and stuff like that, but I don't want to keep saying that I need this thing and then something's going to happen when I have everything I need right now and more will happen with it. And the more that something happens with it, the more I can then bring in to continue to elevate that and transition it into something instead of looking back and being like, well, fuck, I should have done it. After the half marathon, fuck, I should have done it. After the Spartan races, fuck, I should have done it. After, say, moving here, fuck, I should have done it. And I don't want to live like that anymore. And I really, truly want to like hone in on my craft and the things that I'm passionate about that ultimately lead to the things that we're doing. But what I've realized is like, I can't fucking talk about it. I can't fucking bitch about stuff. I can't fucking complain until I start putting in repetition after repetition after repetition and watch things transition and then create strategy and tactics behind that to implement in place.
Do you? All right, first question. How many weeks are you into training technically?
Just wrapping up 3 weeks.
Do you feel like this is the new shiny thing and it's easy to feel this way because it's new?
The Ironman, yes. The lifestyle, no.
That's what I mean, is the Ironman.
Yeah.
Because the content that you've been putting out is around the Ironman.
Yeah, because it's revolving around a lifestyle that I'm living. But even outside of the Ironman, I was still doing things Even though it was different than running, biking, swimming, I was still doing things that could motivate and inspire people. And there was still a big message behind all of that. But I was
I'm not knocking that there's a message there. I'm more saying like the actual putting out the content itself. Because we're both super consistent. We say this all the time. Like we talk about it in private, like that we're more consistent than most people, but we're not even scratching the surface of what potential we have. And so I've been doing this for X amount of years now. And every time I have a new goal, I jump into, all right, let's create some content. And then time goes on and it slowly fades off. Then something new comes on and we jump into content. And so this isn't saying you won't do this. It's more of like, be cautious that yes, it's very easy to be motivated and inspired right now. But do you feel like that's what it is? Or do you feel I guess you would feel an actual shift even if it was that. So like I always feel a physical shift. But then life sets in and you just ease back into comfort.
So I had a really good conversation about 3 weeks ago now, that sparked my mindset around, you're already doing so many great things. Why aren't you showing that to influence people? This is like what I was being told, to influence people, to spread the awareness, to do these different things. Why don't you do it already?
I'm just going to ask for context. Was this with the twins?
I don't think it matters who it was with.
Okay.
Because it's been...
I was just actually genuinely curious for context.
No, I don't think it matters who it was with, because bits and pieces of that came from different conversations from people that I am close to. But then I all tied it together into like this pot where it's like, okay, these are all common things, talked about this and that. And so what really sparked and drove me was like, and it still repeats in my head, you're already doing these things, why aren't you? You're already doing these things, why aren't you? You're already doing these things, why aren't you? So then I was like, yeah, like it'll be easy with the Iron Man to showcase stuff because I'm already doing these things, why aren't you? And so now it's like, well, okay, how do I do this, being that it's going to be me solo dolo 95% of the time? So then I'm like, all right, well, I could put this on this stand and then I could carry it. I could do this. And so I'm already doing these things. Why aren't you? Now I'm implementing and showing those things that I'm already doing on a day-to-day basis, because it revolves around the main message, living a happier, healthier life. So what is that extent going to look at? What is this? I don't know. It's going to look different in many different things, but it's going to always revolve around, you're already doing this, so why aren't you? And that why aren't you is, why aren't you recording? Why aren't you writing a newsletter? Why aren't you posting more on this? Why aren't you talking to this person? Why aren't you voicing it out in public? And so having that kind of repeat in my head is what's driving it. Now, is it easy to say that, because you bring up a very valid point, is it easy to say that this is the new shiny thing to not fall back into the norm? Yeah, it is. But hopefully through the actions that I'm implementing and putting in place, that norm of what it usually was doesn't become a norm anymore. And I push through that. And now it's going a different direction, because that comment is that devil on the other side, because I know that that's, and I'm sick of that. I'm sick of saying that I'm going to do something, follow through for a little bit, it falls off. With the Basics 100 videos, with the quotes that I was posting, the daily drive-bys for a while fell off, and I'm doing those again. Again, with this podcast studio and bringing in guests, that fell off. Like, there's so many things. I want to change the norm. I'm just going to keep saying because we can take this however we want, but I know these things and I see them, whether the outside world does or not, whether they're as hard on me or not, like, it doesn't matter. But I have to start to change that narrative, because right now I'm very good at being consistently inconsistent. Very fucking good. Like, I have mastered that to a T, bro. Like, nobody does it better than me. And I'm the first to admit it.
I don't know. I'll give you a run for your money.
I am very good at being consistently inconsistent with showcasing
certain things, man.
Because we're not consistently inconsistent running every day. We're not consistently inconsistent about eating healthy.
But what is the switch? Like, where is the switch that needs flipped?
So it needs prioritization. and what's really important in life. So is this really important? Are these things that we say, that we talk about, are they really important, or are we just saying them to say them?
Running is all right. So I'm just gonna speak on myself now. Running is too big of a focal point in my life. Like, it is a high priority in like my list of things to do. List of things to do. List of things to talk about. Like, I spend a vast majority of my day running, talking about running, or intaking running content.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I say no one wants to just see you run. No one wants content about running 24/7. And it's easy to say these things. It's like, well, this is just my life. This is what I do. Like, it's not like, it doesn't feel like something special. But we just said it. I don't know if it was this episode or last episode. Like, the people around don't do this. Like, it's not, yes, we have our circle, but like, the people back home, the people in our outside circles don't do this type of shit. But it still feels like, and maybe that's what it is like, which was another question I was going to ask you around content is, do you feel, I'm going to use the word safer, just because like I don't know what to say. Or I guess, do you feel less insecure putting it on TikTok as opposed to putting it on a different platform? Like, is that somewhere, obviously it's new for you, so it's like, let's see if we can gain some traction here. But like, do you think like you care less about what you post there? Not like less quality wise, but like less about what other people think because it's TikTok.
No, I'm going to say no, because that I feel like any and everybody can see, and the people we know, like if I post on a safe space of Instagram, it's mainly people that I know.
That feels so much more unsafe to me.
Okay, it does.
But the people that I know,
the comments will not be there,
but they'll be there in person. That's worse, bro. The people who just talk shit, who just, I can already tell that you listen to the podcast from the things you were saying about Nick Bear when he went to the bar, and everybody's chanting BPN.
There was a time that
we've 100% gotten.
There was a time that you were at the bar and you told me something that somebody said.
It was about 75 hard or something like that
at the bar, and I was like, inside, I never voiced it to you. Inside, I was fucking fuming, and I've never talked about it until right fucking now. And I can't even pinpoint the exact comment that it was about, but it was about us and the fucking brand that you have on your chest. And I was like,
those comments are worse than a comment on a post.
But
because that's personal. Like, that's someone you know personally attacking you for going after something.
But
as opposed to a fucking troll who you could teabag.
Yeah, you're completely accurate on that. When I look back at that now, when I look at things, you hear from fucking Nick Bear, you hear from the conversations that they have on the first form calls. Part of the process. You hear it from who's the other one? Alex Hermosi. You hear it from him. Like, it's part of the process, and changing that mindset of, if that's happening, you're doing something right. If people are talking about it, if people are making comments, just keep going.
Because what's fucking crazy is, I don't know why that has such a big effect, but the people here who actually give positive reactions to that and like bring it up in person, like, yo, dude, that quote you put up the other day was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thanks. That doesn't matter though. That can go away.
Yep.
Because the one thing somebody said, I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm never posting again.
Yep. Yeah. There was this quote that which we'll get to it. It probably won't be this episode, but from
Antonio.
Yeah, no, not from him. But on the Diary of a CEO, when Dr. Line was talking, the host asked her a question along the lines of,
send me this podcast.
Okay, I will. It was really good. Put it in the description.
I was about to say, I'll also link it below.
Why? Something along the lines of like, why do you think you can do this and other people can't? Or why? I don't remember what it was, but it was tying to like going after those things and like staying consistent with it and pursuing it. And he was like, why don't you think other people can instill that in them? And she was like, it's very difficult what I do. I run 3 different businesses. I take care of some of the most incredible humans on the planet. She trains CEOs, Navy SEALs, and doctors. She was like, I have my own podcast. I'm writing 2 books and I don't have full-time help. She's like, I'm a mom. The one thing I don't find excuses. I figure out ways to get it done because if it matters, you find ways to get it done. And that hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. That ties directly into this. If I don't find excuses, I figure out ways to get it done because if it matters, you find ways to get it done.
Okay, then let me ask you this though. We do that though. The things that actually matter, we get done. Does that mean that the content doesn't matter to us? And that's a fair question to ask. Does that mean that because I don't want to stay consistent for more than 2 months, that I just don't care to make content?
Or do you let those perceived thoughts in your head get the best of you so that way you don't put it out because of all of those internal thoughts?
Once I'm in a groove, they go away. Like
but
they get quieter and quieter and quieter.
Why does that groove fail?
I don't know. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I don't care. I've never sat down and analyzed it.
Mm-hmm.
But that does hit. And it's like, okay, then maybe that is something that I don't care about. Maybe something that I want to care about because I know the opportunities it can lead to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that it has more potential to reach people. But maybe it's something that I actually don't care about. And if that's true, then that's okay. But I guess that's something that needs to be figured out.
Yeah, because then, like, so thinking from a business perspective, okay, that is fine. But what is that thing that you would care to then grow those things that you care about? And so looking,
because like this podcast, for example, we figure out a way to make it happen no matter what.
All the time.
If we got to be up at 5:30, if we got to fucking squeeze 4 in a day, no matter what, like it happens.
Yeah.
And I'll do whatever to make this happen. But taking a fucking 5-second video of myself running and putting a caption over it and posting it, I can't find time for. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because for me, the things that I'm trying to do and implement right now, and like I said, whether it was this week or last week, doing it for me right now, not bitching and not complaining and not blaming and not doing all those other things, because I know that there's things that I have to work on first before I can then be like, all right, boom, 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 like whatever those next steps are. Again, like that erase board, it has steps that once you check the box, you can move on to the next thing. And so that's kind of how I'm approaching this. But what I do know is I care about training. What I do know is I care about what I eat. What I do know is I care how I treat my girlfriend. I care how I treat my friends. I care how people perceive me. I care about my family. And all of those things encompass what I want to impact this world by, how I want to impact it, what I want to lead by, how I want to lead by example and show and demonstrate. And so again, the stuff that I'm trying to do to break that pattern of being consistently inconsistent is aligning with those bigger things. And so to me, then I start thinking about like, okay, well, why wasn't I consistent when I said I was going to do X? Why wasn't I consistent when we said we were going to do Y, and go on and so forth? And it's like, all right, let me break that down. But it always comes back to like, all of these things can have such a big impact. And we know they can, because like we're truly helping people. Like we're literally changing people's lives, bro.
I know.
And we don't take enough time to appreciate that. So how can we take what we're doing right now?
I think that is a big key component. Is that we've talked about this multiple times as well. We don't allow ourselves to like be proud of what we accomplish most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm honestly probably like a peak confidence level right now lately. And I still can't get myself to be proud of myself or post anything. I'll enjoy it for a minute and then I'm like, all right, whatever. On to the next. And I can blame life being hectic. I can blame whatever I want, but that's just an internal thing that I just don't allow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can have these same feelings towards me if like you like would sit there and fester or think about it. But like when I think of this stuff as a whole, there's stuff that I want to be like, fucking Dylan, and just shake you and be like, but we said this or you said this.
100%.
And I want to hold you accountable. And then there's times where I'm like, Freddie, you fucking said you were going to do this. You said you were, but But then it's just,
But it has both sides though too, because then there's times like today where you're going on, I'm like, okay, I'm fired up again. Like he's in it, I'm back in it. And it's not even like I'm ever out of like this as a whole, but like there's parts where you come in and out of.
Yeah.
Because the main gist we're always in. It's like, I don't know, man.
And like that fucking thing, that comment that you said somebody left of like, how do you stay going with like the amount of views? Like not in the shit talking way.
I don't even think about that. I don't care how many fucking views I get.
I don't think about that one fucking bit. So I know.
Somebody asked me how many views you get in practice. I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. I know a gist, but guess what? I don't care because
maybe 100 tops across all the platforms.
Yeah. There was a minute where I'm posting the clips and we're getting 80, 200, blah, blah, blah likes. And the next thing you know, we're getting 2, 4, 7. I'm like,
and one's me.
It's cool. The other one's me. I'm like, it's cool. Guess what?
That's the beauty of TikTok, though. It doesn't show who likes your shit. It's just a heart with 2 under it.
But guess what? This week, 34, 70, 90, 80. And it's like, all right, cool. And so it's, yeah, it's fun right now because I'm looking at things. What I mean by it's fun right now is I'm having this like,
it's easy to do it.
Well,
you're in it.
I'm not even talking the content. It's the thoughts that I'm having in my head throughout my day-to-day life. And I keep telling myself, be better each day, be better each day, be better each day. And so the punching bag that I have in my head right now where I'm like, fucking do this, no, blah, blah, blah. It's like barely moving, but it's being so like intentional, mindful, and strategic in the way that I'm thinking where I'm not self-deprecating myself. I'm not fucking blasting myself with all this negativity, but rather you're here right now and you have XYZ that you're caring about, that you're working towards, that you're passionate about. So like my pillars of life, family, fitness, friends, DTI. Or no, family, faith, fitness, and DTI are the 4 things that I've classified. Family includes my friends. My friends know that they're family to me. Fitness is something that I care drastically about. My faith is one that I need to improve on. I did a daily drive-by about this, that it's not as big as it could be, but it's something that I'm working on and want to grow. And then DTI as a whole. So those are my 4 pillars that I live by. And so again, how can I elevate those and tie those in to then build myself, which is then in turn building everything else around me, the people, impact, all that kind of stuff. So that battle that I'm having every day where I'm having these thoughts, conversations, writing things down, they're very good and they're very powerful. And so I want those to continue as well. And everything else is going to continue around that. But I want to break the norm. I want to break the status quo. I don't want to fucking say I'm going to do something and it goes strong for 2 months and then it quits and then this and then it quits, or this is going to happen and then it doesn't because of this. And I'm fucking over that era. Like it's time to literally like go all fucking in or just back off and be like, all right, well, that was fun while it lasted. And I'm not letting that fucking happen. I will refuse, because how much these things mean to me. I will refuse to have that mindset. And it never once has crossed my mind. So now it's like, how do we fucking go, baby? How do we start this engine and just fucking hammer the gas pedal and keep fucking going? Going through every barrier, going through every fucking red light, stop sign, roadblock, pothole that gets in our way. Safe. It doesn't matter. We're fucking going, baby. Need for fucking speed.
There's 4 kids in the street when I pull up playing baseball. He's going to run the
Watch out. Yeah. So last episode, there was the passion around this because like it's now or never. Now or never.
That's true.
So when you know what's important to you, when you know what you really want, you'll fucking figure a way. I don't find excuses. I figure out ways to get it done because it matters. You find ways to get it done. And that's what I got to do. But first, it's got to start with me. And then it can span to everything else.
Soaking it in.
Because you want to know what's crazy? And this is how I know that what we're doing can have the impact that we know it can. is there was a stat in this.
Same podcast?
Same podcast. Only 6 to 8. So let me back up even further. Society focuses on obesity as a whole, but what she says is that it's not obesity that's the problem. The problem is that not enough people have enough skeletal muscle. And if you have enough muscle on your body, it will eliminate obesity. It can eliminate mental health. It can eliminate all these things because
I started lifting again.
Right? You can take care of yourself more. And she said that there is only 6 to 8% of people are meeting the resistance training guidelines.
That doesn't surprise me.
And that a majority of the people are sedentary. And that if you fall in the lower 1/3 of strength, you have a 50%. If you fall in the 1/3 of strength, lower threshold of strength, you have a 50% greater chance of dying for any cause mortality, anything. So without muscle on your body, without being physically active and living in a sedentary life, you have a 50% greater chance to get some sort of disease over somebody that's putting that time and energy into their body.
Damn.
And when you start thinking about that as a whole and you start diving that in, like this world that we live in is becoming so easy to never move out of your chair, move off of the couch, even leave your house. You can get groceries delivered to your fucking house. You don't got to go grocery shopping.
I really want to do that today. I do not want to go to the grocery store.
And she said that, she was like, when you're in an airport, she's like, look around. Look at how many people can't lift their bag above and put it in the overhead bin. Look at how many people are in line at security, can't lift their bag and put it on the carousel. And when you start looking at things in that, she was like, most people, when they get to 60, aren't going out or aren't willing to go out and bring in their own groceries. She's like, imagine when you're 70.
60's not even old.
60's not old. But she said that if people do not start working at 30 at a latest on their muscles and resistance training and focusing on these things, that Alzheimer's starts to become present starting at 30. Because again, sedentary through 40, through 50, and then that's like, it's brewing. It doesn't come overnight.
That's also compounding.
Yeah. Cardiovascular health increases drastically. And so all these people that are living the sedentary lifestyle end up getting sick. And he goes, well, let me ask you this question. He was like, what about those people that say that they don't have time to resistance train because they're this, because they're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, if people don't have time for health and wellness, then how are they going to have time to be sick? She was like, that's so much more consuming. And I'm like, it's so true. You get sick, you're bedridden. She said 7 days in ICU. If you're like extreme and like in ICU, you can lose 2% of your muscle mass like that just from 7 days. So take somebody that's sedentary over 10, 20 years, what that looks like. Next thing you know, now you can't even fucking pick up your grandkid that's 15 pounds. Now you can't stand up and down out of your chair. And it sounds crazy to people. And it's like, oh, that's so far away. That's got to be 80 or 90 years old. And at that point, I don't fucking care.
Good luck making it to 80 or 90 if you're that sedentary.
Yeah. And so that thing that I brought up on the podcast when we were talking about life expectancy, and I was like, oh, Nick Bear said something. She said it in here as well. She was like, because he was like, well, the life expectancy is going up and we're living longer. So how are people more sedentary getting X, Y, and Z if we have a longer life expectancy? She goes, we can make someone's life expectancy longer on their deathbed. Mm-hmm. We can hook a ventilator up to them. We can keep them alive. But what's more important, life expectancy or life quality? She goes, and we're worried about the quality. So that way you can be 67 years old, lifting weights, running, going to get your grandkids, being able to carry your own groceries in, not having to worry about this or that. And so it just like puts all this stuff into perspective of like, dude, what was it? 6 to 8% of the world meets the resistance training requirements of strength.
That doesn't surprise me though, which is sad that it doesn't surprise me.
Imagine if we could capture a 0.5% of that next
Like to the 8.5%.
Yeah. Imagine. Like, and so when I start looking into like these things and listening to these different forms of media versus somebody talking about fucking football and what's going to happen and all these, like, dude, that shit doesn't matter. It's not going towards my goals. Like, I made it a thing this year, and I've only told one person so far, I'm not watching any team on my TV that's not the Browns. Unless Lo wants to watch the Bills, I'll watch that. But I'm not sitting here all Sunday watching sports. I've done that. And you compound that week over week, dude, I'm spending fucking so much time watching football. And so there'll be occasions where, like, we'll go to a Bengals game because they're here locally and that's your team and stuff. Like, that's fine.
That's the one thing that I have never really gotten into. I'll go to the game, but and like I'll go out with you guys to the game, but I don't watch sports at home. I've never been one to just turn sports on.
And so I'm putting that restriction on myself because that's 10 hours on a Sunday. Now that's fucking 40 hours in a month.
That's so much time.
Now you multiply, and I'm like, no. So I'm trying to be more cautious of the allotted free time that I have and putting useful and intentional things in there that are going towards that overall mission that I want to do. Because, I mean, 50% of Americans don't work out. 50+% of Americans don't work out. And 75% don't meet both the metrics of what you should do and have to do to see X, Y, and Z. So we're talking like majority of the fucking world is not physically active. And so, again, is this going to be a fad? Is this going to be a phase? Is this going to die off? It can't, bro, because those things, those videos, that stuff that we're doing on a daily basis behind the curtains that we're consistent with day in and day out, that we have been for fucking years over year, that's going to affect somebody. And the more we do that, the more we preach it, just like anything else. It grows over time. You learn over time. You develop over time. You transition over time. But if you don't fucking start, how are you ever going to get where you want to go in life, whatever that is? And so, again, I can't keep writing the same fucking narrative. I can't keep writing the same fucking script. And it all starts with accountability. And then voicing that so that way it's heard. And again, I might stumble. I might fall. I want to get back up and keep going. I want to learn. I want to develop. I want to grow. And none of that's going to happen if I don't fucking stay consistent.
All right, dude, I'll make content again.
But you just hear some of those numbers and it's like,
I mean, it's not hard to believe. Like, look at the people in your life. How many of them don't work out? Not even like, oh, how many are obese? Because I know a lot of, I'm not even saying in shape, thin people.
Mm-hmm.
Or like visibly in shape people who don't work out at all. And are probably not healthy. They just aren't fat. And that's not the metric of health. It's just not being fat.
I did a post today and it was like, or actually I haven't even posted it yet. So if you're hearing this now and it ain't out.
This is a while ago. It should definitely be out.
Okay. But I put in my notes like Facebook posts that I want to do.
This is literally 2 weeks from today.
Oh, beautiful. But it says, if you have a kid, a husband, a wife, a family, a friend, a something, and you are not physically active, you're hurting them more than you're hurting yourself. And if more people would pick up on that concept and view it that way, because guys, ladies, people, I'm not saying you have to go to the gym. Resistance training does not mean you have to move weight. You can move your body. You can literally use this thing that God gave you to start the journey. You don't have to wake up and be like, well, got to do this 7 days a week now. Well, got to do. That's why most people don't do it, because they've tried that before. They failed. They got discouraged.
Yeah, they burn themselves out trying to do too much too fast.
Yep.
But I understand like the concept of if you have this, you're hurting them. Like at some point, somebody's got to step up and lead.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to be the one to say, okay, I'm going to change this. And other people are going to follow you in your life. If you're married, your spouse is going to follow you. If you have kids, they're going to follow you. All these people in your life see what you do. And eventually it's going to become a habit. Our whole group didn't do this shit.
Mm-mm.
it slowly builds over time.
Yep. He asked Dr. Lyon in the interview, he was like, if your husband stopped working out and was like, stopped being physically active, what would you do? She goes, he's a Navy SEAL. He wouldn't fucking do that. And he goes, theoretically, like, let's just play a script. If he stopped working out, what would you do? She goes, well, what I would do is not safe to say on this podcast right now vocally. She was like, but I would put him in his place and I would tell him, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's got fucking kids. He's got to take care of those kids. It's not about him anymore. It's about them. That's enough driving factor to keep him working out, to keep him healthy. It's not, no, if he even thought about that, I wouldn't allow it because it's not about him. It's about them now. And the not only about keeping himself healthy to be there for them, but setting an example for those kids. She goes, I'm not worried about our generation. She's like, it is what it is. She's like, I'm helping people, this and that. She's like, and I'm loving it. I'm scared for the next generation that doesn't get to see that. And I was like, holy shit.
That's normal. Everybody's always scared for the next generation.
Yeah.
And you're always going to be.
You hear that 6 to 8%, and it's like, fuck. Like, there are so many kids out there that I didn't have that role model growing up.
Me either.
Of somebody being in the gym. None of my aunts, uncles, nobody.
Me either.
And that's no knock to them. Like, all great fucking people.
No, mine's a knock. Y'all are all lazy fucks.
Yeah. Because now I'm fucking knocking on their door. Like, when are you going to start? Let's get it, baby. What do you want to do? So it's and tying back to like your comment about our friend group, like not everybody did this. There's people in our friend group that are like, am I wrong for not wanting to run, or am I wrong for not wanting? No, you're doing fucking great things over here. Just because the group right now has transitioned where a majority of people are doing endurance does not mean that you can't go after what you're still passionate about and love to do. Fuck that, bud. Don't have that mentality.
Told me, he said, I hope your next goal is something to do with strength training. I said, most likely not going to be, bud.
And it's like, no, like whatever that fucking looks like, just keep doing it. Keep fucking doing it, because that's setting you apart from everyone else. And so, again, we all have areas that we can improve and start on. But then it's even like, all right, well, then how can I elevate that and take that to the next level? It's like, now you look at all the other outside factors and you implement something else. And those little habits that once seemed like big things just start stacking on each other. And that weight that seemed so hard to lose in the beginning just starts melting off once you start stacking those habits. And so it's waking up with that mindset where it's like, nope, today I'm fucking getting out of bed and I'm getting sunlight in my eyes first thing in the morning. And then I'm going to go to bed at the same time every single night this week. And then I'm going to wake up at the same time every single. And every single time I wake up, I'm going to drink electrolytes first, or I'm going to drink water first, and then I'm going to have my coffee. Because when I have my coffee, then I just sit at my desk and answer emails. So that's going to keep me away from my desk. Like, whatever that looks like, everybody has a different routine. Everybody has a different lifestyle, and they can accommodate and customize their fucking itinerary to complement their lifestyle, to complement the things that they have going on. And it only needs to be little stuff. Little stuff, little stuff, little stuff. Become better each and every day. And what does that look like, and how are you going to do it? So it's interesting, man. I mean, it's hard enough living life and being confident.
It is hard living.
And being confident in so many different areas. Like, work's hard. Relationships are hard. Family's hard.
It's all fucking hard.
Exactly. So, like, life is hard.
Don't make it any harder than it has to be.
Correct. But then you add something like trying to build and grow a business, like that's hard. Like a lot of people don't understand that.
You can make it hard in that way.
Yeah.
I'm talking
or
about
like
being unhealthy.
Going after like a race or whatever, like that adds another layer of complexity and hardness to it. And so there's so many ways to already make something that's harder.
A lot to navigate.
And it's trials and tribulations. That's why we've talked about it plenty of times. That's why a lot of people don't do, is because it's hard. And so, are you going to not do because it's hard, or are you going to fucking go after those things that you're passionate about, that drive you have, and what you actually truly want to do and leave in this earth? That's for people to make on their own time. But my shit's coming together, baby. I hope. I'm having these conversations daily with myself.
Don't think or hope, it is.
So I think I have the right, actually I know I have the right group around me to hold me accountable. But again, I don't need that right now. I got to hold myself accountable in areas. And it's a beautiful thing to realize, because it ties back to, if I needed to lose weight, I got to hold myself accountable, because you could want it for me extremely bad. But if I don't want it, if somebody wants to get off drugs, they got to hold themselves accountable. If somebody wants to be a great husband, they got to hold themselves accountable. If somebody wants to be successful over here, they got to hold themselves accountable. So that's what I've realized, like, hold yourself accountable, and then everything else is going to continue to build and flourish as you do. Plain and simple. It's so funny. I literally have so many notes on this fucking episode.
If you had to guess, how long have we been going?
22 minutes.
50 minutes.
What?
50 minutes.
Did you turn that camera off?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Time flies when
I
you're
can see
having
looking at
fun,
us
mate.
like, how long do you think we've been going?
Literally thought 22 minutes. Well, the moral of the story, guys, is that you need to optimize your body. You need to use it. We are literally given one. She stated in this, and I will end it here. Let me just find it real
22
quick.
is crazy. I think you were saying like 37. And it was still made 9.
I didn't even, because I didn't think you turned that off. I didn't even realize you did. But there are 3 things that are promised in this life: health, age, and death. No one's getting out of them. No one's outbeating them. But how are you going to make those 3 things better? How are you going to enhance them? How are you going to protect them until death comes? Because that is the only thing that's promised in this world. And so while you are here, whether it's just working on yourself or working on the dreams and aspirations you have or helping those around you, hold yourself accountable, build and grow from there, and just keep tackling your dreams, keep tackling the things that you want to, and know that it's okay to be consistently inconsistent sometimes, but at some point it has to change. Do you truly want it? If so, keep going for it. If not, go on to the next thing. You learned your lessons, you learned the things that you wanted, and go on to that next venture. So have the desire to inspire. Kiss your mama for us, and come tune in next week. We love y'all. It's on.
Peace.